Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak again. I thought I would show you the pH of my aquarium and the redox of what it's reading, 380. I got the pH up by using a little bit of baking soda, which is most homes already have, and it seems to have stabilized pretty good at the 6.8 that I want. But I wanted to show you the incredible redox number I'm getting on my aquarium. I also, in this video, we're going to talk about a guy named Mark. He lives in, if I'm not mistaken, Michigan, and he is a 62-year-old hobbyist. So he's been in the hobby a while, and he wrote me and sent me pictures of his aquarium. He even sent me, believe it or not, since I did the video, pictures of his pH and redox using the same redox meter, and you're going to be quite surprised at all of his aquariums. All of his aquariums, by the way, use plenums, and they use the BCB baskets. But instead of the baskets, he made his BCB out of like socks. Okay, so that's what the video is about, and that's coming up next. Okay, let's get on with the video. The tank you're looking at is Mark's tank. He's from Michigan. And the tank is a water box tank, which is a very good tank. If I remember, water box is made in Australia. Okay. Anyhow, I wanted to shoot you a couple of pictures and video of my water box and a 90 centimeter island aquascape tank. After placing a plenum, which doesn't cover the whole bottom, about 2 inches short all around the sides, which is perfectly fine, I covered it with laterite and crushed coral. Probably the crushed coral to keep the pH up. Nothing new. Covered the center portion with my rock work, and I put aqua soil in the center of the rocks and along the outside edges, and then capped everything off with sand. Okay, this is what most people like to do. They like to use sand. It's inexpensive. You can get it at Home Depot. You can get sand at pool places. So it makes sense that a lot of people do use sand because they cosmetically like the way it looks versus stones. And personally, I've looked at some of the gravel that they sell at some of these stores. I don't like the gravel anymore. It's gotten too big. It's too big in size, where a long time ago they used to sell gravel that was smaller in size. But also you can see where people, if they want to plant an aquarium, of course, they will get some Fluval substrate or something like that, a bag of it. But then again, it's expensive. And they'll add that right where they're going to put their plants. But once again, top it off with sand. A lot of people want to do that. Then just putting the sand at the very bottom of their aquarium, they have now separated the sand with a plenum. Let's see, the tank has been up and running for 8 to 9 weeks. And here in this photo that you're looking at is his canister filters, and inside the canister filters he's made BCB but with the bag, and this is a copy of the bag that I use myself. These are nylon bags. I think they came in a package of 12, and in the nylon bag itself is where he put his kitty litter with laterite and made a BCB bag instead of baskets. And then he said he put that in one of the containers of his Oasis that he has here. As you can see, he has 2 Oasis, one for each side. And each Oasis has its own lily pipe and a skimmer on the Oasis. This is a close-up of the same aquarium. And as you can see, it's a beautiful tank. And if you see off to the left there, he's got his intake for one of the filters along with his fish. It looks like he kind of picked the same kind of fish as me. What the common name of these is just your red tetras, and you can understand why they're called red tetras, because once they really color up. But anyhow, the fish, basically the Serpae tetras is what they are, red minor Serpae tetras. Common name, people just call them is the red tetra, you know, and apparently that's what he has in his tank. It's nice to see that somebody has an aquarium, as you're looking at his aquarium right here, and it has fish in it. It's just not an aquarium with a bunch of plants. And it's been up now. This aquarium's been up for about 2.5 months. And so he runs a plenum and he runs a BCB baskets in his Oasis. And I'm not going to say baskets, I should say bags, because a lot of people have been doing that, making bags so they can put them in their, hang on the back filters. And apparently it seems to be working. Some people even have taken the bags and placed them inside their aquarium directly and not put them in. But anyway, he got the same controller, pH and ORP controller, as I show on my video. And as you can see, it's very high, almost 350, 348. But one thing he did notice is that the tank, let's see, he got the, I'm old school and had an undergravel filter in my saltwater tanks, but agree when I went to power heads on the bigger tubes, things went downhill from there. Attached are my meter readings, which is what we are looking at here, of the water. I see the millivolt drops when I add liquid plant fertilizer. I know when it has been used up when the meter rises back up. I do run CO2 and have a twin star algae inhibitor nano. So I'll have to look up what a twin star inhibitor is. I don't know if that's a UV light, or I think that's probably a UV light. But anyhow, as you see by his meter here, that he really has nice redox reading. And this is one thing I've been trying to tell people, that if you make a plenum and you do things right, that your oxidization potential of your aquarium is there. Gives you more leeway for if you do put chemical and biological insults in. The next aquariums that we're going to look at, okay, are his Fluval. And I asked him, what about algae? You know, when you broke your tanks in. And he says, as far as algae, I had the diatom at first, which everybody has, usually the brown diatom. Then some green on the rocks, but it's all gone now. The cleanup crew definitely helps. I will send you a couple of pictures of my 15-gallon. Now, what you're looking at here would be the 15-gallon aquarium. And this is a Fluval 15-gallon aquarium. And I'm amazed how the pH and millivolt change from night to when the lights and CO2 are on or after fertilization. And I try to explain to you, these become insults to the oxidization ability of an aquarium. And people don't realize that these lower your redox or the oxidation potential of your aquarium. So if your aquarium is already low and you add these insults, it will even go lower yet. And this is where you come up with problems of algae and stuff like this, because you're not realizing how low your redox has been dropped, because you thought you were doing something good, because all these people told you, oh, you should do it, you need to squirt this in, you need to put this in, you need to put that in, and it does lower your redox. Just like when I told you I had the sodium thiosulfate, and how that lowered my redox when I used it to dechlor my water, and it dropped it, and it took about 20 hours for it to go bounce back. When I did my water change on my aquarium just recently Friday, This time I didn't use that, the dechlor. And I gassed off the chloramine, and I checked it with the test kit. Do I have any chlorine in the water? It showed no, and I gassed it off. Okay, you could do that with bubbles. And believe it or not, the Redux went down, okay, because I gassed off the chlorine, but it didn't bounce right back up within 2 hours. It was right back up to 375. So it shows you that it took 20 hours to get rid of the dechlor, but without using dechlor, it took 2 hours and it bounced right back up again. So that shows you how different chemicals affect the oxidization of your aquarium. And he's saying the same thing here. Let's see, the 15 gallon has been 7 to 8 months and is pretty much algae free. I had a bit of blue beard on the output nozzle and top moss, but it is gone after I trim for the most part. The glass has a bit on it after 3 weeks or so, but I'm astonished by how well the Fluval tank is running. That's odd. I wonder. He says he's really astounded how well it's running. Maybe he set it up before and it didn't run right, or well, he's done this before. Okay, he's not a novice. The man is 62 years old. He's had saltwater, so he's not a novice to this hobby. Okay, we can pretty well summarize that, Mark. But if he's kind of stunned at it, there must be a reason why he's stunned at it. It would be good to know, why is he so stunned? Did he try tanks the other way and they really were a mess? And now he's surprised how well he set something else up, like his Fluval, and how well it's doing all of a sudden? It says the sword in the background came from my son, and he's a manager of a PetSmart in Upper Michigan. It had 5 leaves on it, and look at it now. And yeah, if you do look at it, it's got a ton of leaves on it. But that was the same way with my swords too. I bought them. They only had a few leaves on them, and now there's a ton of leaves on them. But Mark shows everybody that we used to use under gravel filters, why they went downhill. They were nitrate producers. So you can't have an aquarium substrate that becomes a nitrate producer. Look at his plants. Look at Mark's plants. The proof is in the pudding. Low nitrates, low phosphates equals good, healthy plant growth. Unlike other people are telling you that you need nitrates and you need phosphates, yes, but this is in very minute quantities. And I can't stress it enough that it's a 7-to-1 ratio with nitrates and phosphates. 7 parts nitrates to 1 part phosphate, boom, you will have an algae problem. So we know the limiting factor is that of the phosphates, that we got to keep the phosphates down in order to try to solve our problem with nitrates. You'll have the other camp who will say, well, I have plants and it will use up all my, nitrates and phosphates, so I don't have to worry. But what about the hobbyist that doesn't have a lot of plants? What about Mark's tank that we just saw, his water box tank? It has plants in it. We'll all agree to that, right? But one thing we can agree upon also is that the tank itself doesn't have a lot of plants in it. A lot of rooted plants all over the place, as it's advocated by some other YouTube hobbyists out there, that if you want a successful aquarium, you have to have tons and tons of plants. Well, not everybody wants tons and tons of plants. They want plants, just like we all do, but they don't want a ton of them and high maintenance. And if you look at Mark's aquarium, you will see that he has plants to highlight his stonework, which looks real nice. He has the sides and all open for swimming space for his fish. When those plants begin to grow in the center, he'll have a nice center island. Okay, this is called an island, and he'll have a nice center island with the outside open up for his fish to swim around and do everything else. And this is what I find out a lot of people like. They're not dedicating and have a Dutch aquarium with just loaded full of plants. They want a few plants. They want them to live. They want them to prosper. But they don't want to have a ton of plants in their aquarium for whatever purposes. I don't want a ton of plants. If they grow that way, fine. If they don't, that's fine also. So I thought I would show you this video of Mark. I appreciate that Mark has sent me this information with photographs and everything else about his aquarium, how long it's been running. As you can see, he's very happy with using the plenum. He uses sand. A lot of people want to use sand. It's cheap, inexpensive. They like it. Cosmetically, they like it. My next aquarium I'm going to make is also going to use sand because that's what people like. It's inexpensive. Bag of sand, $6. Whether you go to Home Depot or aquarium store if you want whiter sand. But you do understand now, people, that when you use any light color substrate, your fish are going to be lighter in color. You do understand that. The darker your substrate, the darker your fish will be. The lighter your substrate, the lighter your fish will be. Okay? And this is really more prevalent if you have like Mabunas, and they will become very, very dark if you have like a black substrate compared to if you have a white substrate, they'll be a lot lighter in color. And that's just the way the fish is a mechanism that's built into the fish to help protect them in the wild. So that's something that I think everybody needs to at least consider when you buy these sands, that the lighter the color of the sand, your fish may be lighter in color. Not that you're doing something wrong, it's just that the substrate you are using is making them turn lighter in color than if you want them to be a lot more colorful. Darker substrates will have a tendency to do that. But this guy's high-tech too. He's got 2 high-powered lights. He uses power heads. He's using some pretty nice equipment on his aquarium. And he's not a beginner. But he does make mention how the anoxy filtration system with the plenum, using the BCB bags, I can't say baskets because he's using the bags, is been a real plus for him with his aquarium keeping. And like he even states, and I just read it to you, he is quite surprised how well his Fluval, 15-gallon Fluval is doing. And right there, that must bring up something to all of us, that why is he really surprised? Has he maybe made this tank before, his bold front tank, and it didn't do so well by listening to other people or doing what other people have advocated? Or, you know, I don't know. He didn't tell me. He just said he was quite surprised how well it's doing after almost a year of running with a plenum. And that's only because it's doing so well because of the fact that the aquarium itself is using a plenum. He has high oxidization rate. As we can see, 350. That's as I have said before, that's what saltwater aquariums want. They need to keep the redox and have high oxidization rate because of the animals they are keeping need very clean, pristine water, like the oceans that are 375 millivolts. They need that because that's what they came from, where our freshwater aquariums did not. But as you notice, aquarium after aquarium, when people are showing me their millivolt readings, their pH, pH is a preference, whether you want more acidic, more alkaline, that's a preference. As you can see, his is more 7.5, so he's got more alkaline, but he is using CO2, which he could connect up to the controller and let the controller regulate his CO2, and he doesn't need the drop checkers that he has in his aquarium. Okay, the controller will handle it. He could just set it at, hey, I want my aquarium to be at 6.8, 6.9, and just let the controller handle it on his pH. And he wouldn't need the drop checker at all. And boom, it will just regulate his pH for him automatically. But anyway, see, here's another hobbyist, myself, other hobbyists are starting to show you hobbyists, look how well my aquarium's doing with even using sand, and how many oxidizers I have in this aquarium using sand. And as I've explained to you a long time ago, this was not the case. People took sand, they put it on the bottom of the aquariums, it would start turning black. It caused problems. And that was about in the 70s. And we stopped using it. It caused too many problems. And now look at this. He's as happy as a lark with using the plenum and sand like he wants. And the oxidation rate is, millivolts are almost like 350. So this does show you that plenums do work. They do work. If set up correctly, they will perform a task for you and make you more successful with your aquarium. The BCB basket helps. As you can see with my aquarium, 380. I mean, that's excellent. The guy in New York, if more people are using this controller, they'll probably send me pictures to see what they're doing. It's not too bad of a price for this controller. It gives you a lot of information. It immediately tells you where your pH is at. It immediately tells you that if you put something in your aquarium, something's going amiss. Uh-oh, I see my millivolt reading is really took a dive, 150 points. What happened? See, it rings a bell for you, because otherwise you're just playing a guessing game. And now these controllers have gotten so inexpensive today that, you know, putting one in your tank is no big deal. Well, it depends, I guess, on what kind of hobby you are. You know, you can keep things simple, or you can get these elaborate little toys. And believe it or not, they're not just toys, but they're pieces of equipment that can explain to you what is happening and why it is happening, and what did you maybe do wrong? I hate to say it. Or what are you adding to your aquarium that is lowering your oxidation potential of your aquarium? Is your tank filthy dirty and your oxidation is lowering? Did you not set up your aquarium correctly? And that's why you have a low oxidation potential, millivolt reading. These are all questions now that you can see and say, oh, what I need to do something. I need to take evasive action because I've done something wrong. Then letting it keep going and going and going. And as we see on videos, and I just watched a video recently, I think from the United Kingdom, where a guy once again, oh, I'm going to take down my tank. I neglected it. I went on vacation. I neglected it, and it got kind of out of hand, so I'm tearing it down, and I'm going to redo it for you once again. And I even heard people in the comment section say, yeah, I've seen lots of videos like that. Lots of videos. And then once again, they think that if they redo the tank the same way as they did, they're not going to come up with these problems. Okay? And we know that when you repetitively do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, you know, you're crazy. You're just going to get the same results. You're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results that aren't going to appear. And this is why you're watching my channel, is because you don't want to keep doing things repetitively like other people have told you, because you didn't come up with the results that they claimed you would have. Or maybe you came up with good results, and then within time, those results began to turn around and bite you in the butt because they didn't work over any extended period of time for you. And this shows you another hobbyist doing great. LBC down the road. We're always looking for somebody down the road. I remember once I talked to one hobbyist and I was explaining the noxic filtration system, how it works and everything. And, you know, I said, well, you know, he kept asking question after question. I said, you're not really going to do this, are you? No matter how many people show you their success, I said, you're really not going to do this. You're just wasting my time. And I said, he goes, oh, well, maybe if like over 1 million or 2 million use it, maybe I would do. See, these people, they're wasting your time. Well, of course, that was quite a few years ago. Now we have people all over the world using it. And still, though, these people, they're still not going to use it. They just waste your time with questions that that are going nowhere because they have no intentions of ever using it, which is fine. Nobody says you have to use it. To continue on doing the same thing that you've always been doing, and then when it fails or something goes wrong and you make up the excuse, I neglected my tank and that's why it's all full of algae, and you make up the excuse, but I'm going to tear it down and show you on my YouTube channel how to redo it again, and maybe this time I'll be successful, and the same thing happens again. But they just won't change. You tell them, hey, why don't you try something different? Go ahead, try something different. Just don't take the gravel and throw it on the bottom of the court. Try something. No, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. No, they're not going to listen to you. They actually in their minds believe this time it will be different. And it goes the same way. It goes the same route and the same way. And I was never a hobbyist like that. If someone told me something or said about a piece of product or something, hey, I was the first one running to the store to buy it. I remember when Dick Boyd's ChemiPure came out. I was the first one to order it from Dick Boyd from Florida, saying, hey, send it to me. I want to try it out on my saltwater tanks. Send me this stuff. I'm always the first one standing in line saying, I'll try it. Give it to me. Let's see if it works. You claim this is going to do this, and especially like that sintered glass stuff. Hey, I bought that stuff right away. It was very expensive. I was the first one to buy it and start trying it out and see, is this really going to work? Well, it didn't work the way it was claimed. Okay, and I realized that, okay, but I'm always willing to try something different to make something better or easier on myself, to make the hobby fun. I'm always right there, and this is just myself, willing to spend the money to try something, to go out there on a limb and say, let's see if this works. Not everybody's that way. They refuse. They just refuse no matter what scientific proof you show them. They just refuse to do it, which is totally up to them. And that's their prerogative in this hobby. But now I don't do stuff like that anymore because I pretty much have everything down to a science. My fish live. I don't mind spending big bucks on fish. Really, I don't mind spending hundreds of dollars on a fish because I know it's going to live. I don't have to be scared. I don't have to be biting my nails. When I make the tank in the lanai, I'll show you how I'm going to make it. I'm going to use sand. I'm going to have goldfish, plants. I'll use live plants, but they're going to be plants that are going to be edible for the goldfish. That's what I want them to do. Eat the plants, get that green in them and everything, just like you would a pond. But it'll be something nice out in the lanai. Anyhow, and I have a surprise. I'm got a filtration system I will be doing a review on. That won't be until the end of the month. We're going to see about this filtration system, which a lot of people I think will be very interested in. A filter. It's a filter, okay, but I think a lot of people will be interested in it because of its price point. That's what I'm saying. So I'm really waiting to see how this comes out, if it works out. I got my fingers crossed that it's a decent product because the price point is wonderful. It's great at this price point. And that's what I'm really hoping. Got my fingers crossed, people, that when I get everything in and do a review for it, that it comes out on top. And we'll have that review for you coming up. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank Mark once again. Mark is a longtime hobbyist, just like some of the others have who were in this hobby he is trying the Noxic filtration system. He's trying the plenum. He's trying the BCB baskets and everything. And he's a happy camper. And that's what we want. That's what I want. I want people to be happy. I want people to enjoy the hobby, especially some of the old timers where I'm getting emails from who are saying, you know, you're right. I used to do this. I used to do this. I was so successful. And then I changed. And boy, that just, the success rate wasn't there anymore. And now I'm going back to our basics and understanding now why I'm doing it. And that's what makes me happy, is to see that when you're happy, then I'm happy. And because you are now thinking out of the box. And basically that's what it is. You're thinking out of the box. You're understanding now how the whole nitrogen cycle really works, and how you can now complete the nitrogen cycle the way it's supposed to by bacteria, which everybody knows. You don't have to do the water changes, or you don't have to depend on chemicals. You can depend on bacteria to solve the problems. You are now outside the box instead of in the box, and looking outside that box and educating yourselves with this channel on what are you supposed to do and become better hobbyists to save your aquarium inhabitants. So thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Happy fish keeping.